What up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Matty P here with another Steelers rookie report on Steelers Touchdown Under. As always, if you do like the show during the show, make sure you hit the like button. If you are watching our shows fairly regularly or you are new to the channel and you like what you hear, hit that sub button as well. That way you get all the notifications. Later on today, or this evening, by the time you listen to this show, we will have done or be doing our live show. Mark and I, my co-host on Steelers Touchdown Under, he and I will do our weekly live TDU boys. So excited to bring that to you. We've premiered that one, but excited to bring that one to you live, back into the usual swing of things. So as always with the rookie report, we look at all the Steelers rookies and we also look at the guys that are undrafted or they're also in their second year, but they didn't play last year. Guys like Rodney Williams, Calvin Austin. Usually in this show as well, if you're new to the show, we also preview the rookies that the Steelers are playing on the opposition side of things. Because it's bye week, I'm not going to focus on the Rams. You'll have forgotten all that by the time the Rams game comes on. So we'll save that one for next week. But looking at the Steelers game against the Ravens, I said before that in the rookie report for week 4, previewing week 5, that the rookies would have to step up in Broderick Jones, Joey Porter Jr., the two particularly that needed to step up, and hopefully Calvin Austin could continue his run of things. Now, Calvin Austin had a concussion, so take that into mind when we talk about his stats. Joe Porter obviously had a killer interception. Broderick Jones, I think he on the 33 pass rush snaps that he played, I saw a stat that was one pressure, pretty incredible from him. But before we get into all those top guys you'd be aware of, I want to talk about two blokes, and that is Rodney Williams, who made his debut, his professional debut. He did really well in the preseason. He played only 4 offensive snaps. He played 7 special team snaps. So excited for him to get a start. No other real stats to really note apart from those snaps. We also had Spencer Anderson. He had 1 play in the game. He was the 7th round draft pick out of Maryland. He had 1 offensive snap in the game and 5 special team snaps, so he got a bit of time. That's a lot to do with the fact that James Daniels was out there, because otherwise the guys that stepped in for Daniels, like Nate Herbig, they would have been the backup there. So excited for Spencer Anderson, got a helmet and got a bit of taste of AFC North football, even if it was only 1 offensive snap. Dionte Washington, as always, still made a contribution. He had 0 receptions, though, on 2 targets, did a lot of contributing, blocking, played 70% of the offensive snaps. I talked about this in terms of Broderick Jones' first start last week and how important Darnell would be to making him feel comfortable. And so I'm not surprised that we saw him on the field more than 65, 70% of the time. It was dead on 70% of the time, which was the most this season, actually. Something to note. His season high before that was 48% against Cleveland. He played 47% against the Vegas Raiders. And now he's played 70%. So they're definitely working him in. He'll be really important down the stretch as the Steelers look to get a run game identity. So yeah, in terms of Dionte Washington, definitely like what we saw. We need to continue that. I just love to see him be able to get more than what he's done on the season in terms of receptions. I think he's only like 1 reception right now for the 10 yards. So we'd like to see him get a bit more involved in the pass game, and allow teams, when there's double tight end set, get open. That will, if he can start to be used more when they do the double tight end set, it will open up Pat Freeman. Will also open up the running backs for some short passing opportunities. So we'll close the line and scrimmage opportunities. Next guy I want to talk about, Joey Porter Jr. Terrific game. Pretty much game-winning interception. If they score there, it's all over Red Rover. You had the ballsiness and the clap back against Beckham Jr., Odell Beckham Jr., which was cool to see. He only had 1 tackle in this game, but it didn't matter because he had the interception, which was pretty cool. He's got 2 pass defenses on the season so far. He's basically only missed 1 tackle. His quarterback rating allowed against Joey Porter right now. Now, admittedly, he's only had 8 targets thrown his way, but that, again, you've got to go through and look up every single time a quarterback's looked at him and all the plays he's done on the field. But he has had, there you go. He's had 86 snaps on the season so far defensively. That's a quarter of the Steelers' total defensive snaps to date, right? So on 86 snaps that he's had so far in the season, he's been targeted 8 times, so at least 1 every 10 plays. It's almost 1 in every 11 if it was 88 snaps. He's been targeted every 11 snaps. Only allowed 3 completions for a completion rate percentage of 37.5 yards for 37.5%, 54 yards, yards per target, 6.8 yards per completion at 18. So there have been some big plays, but the quarterback rating of 21.9 is huge. And also the yak yardage of the 54 yards, that he's allowed when throwing the ball his way, only 7 yak yards. So he's making tackles. He's got the interception, very much developing. And it's really exciting. I said this when Mark and I did our Mad Monday show this week around the fact that I was going to clip it out, but I wanted to save it for this show for anyone that missed the Mad Monday show. I do feel like they were very strategic in bringing in Patrick Peterson to mentor whichever first or second round cornerback, or even third round if they'd waited that long, cornerback, but a top drafted quarterback, top rookie quarterback, cornerback. I feel like they brought Patrick Peterson in to mentor that guy. I do feel like if Broderick Jones had been picked before the Steelers picked at 17, they probably would have picked Broderick. So they would have picked Joey Porter. And then the good thing is they already had Pat P there. So pretty exciting they were able to get Broderick and get Pat P. And get Joey Porter Jr. to be mentored by Pat P at 32. But I think they ended up with their ideal scenario. And I think they wanted, like every rookie, the Steelers make them work for it. But I think what I said to Mark was, obviously Joey Porter with the athleticism, the size, the NFL background, knowing the Steelers operation as well, was always going to probably be successful. But having that maturity being further taught to him by Pat P, having some of the veteran moves taught by Pat P, having the ability for him to go listen, learn, share, get insights from Pat P is really huge to his development. And I think post the bye, it might still take a couple of weeks, but we're going to see some awesome things for the rest of the season out of Joey Porter Jr. All right, moving on to Broderick Jones, who had his first full start. He has played some snaps to date. He's played 40% of the offensive snaps for the Steelers. In this game, he played, obviously, 100% of those, 66%. I did say the stat around the one pressure. I thought that's really excellent from him. Look, it wasn't perfect from him, but it was pretty good. And he's had no penalties on the season so far, which is not bad when he's played 50% of the snaps and he's a rookie offensive tackle. I don't see him relinquishing that spot after the bye. I said that to Mark on Monday as well. This is his spot now, and it's up to Dan Moore and Okorafor. They can fight over right tackle. And just for fans out there as well on that, Okorafor is much cheaper to move this offseason, so don't be surprised if they try Dan Moore there and see if he can work out there. Otherwise, Dan Moore's a very cheap depth piece from the 4th round, so that's pretty cool. Obviously, it's his 3rd season, so he's got one more year next year. You keep him there. But in terms of Okorafor and Dan Moore, I see them fighting that out. I think Okorafor, it'll be his spot to lose, but I think Dan Moore will put up a very good fight. Moving on to Nick Herbig. So obviously he's been a contributor on special teams and as the 3rd or 4th string outside linebacker. He only had 5 defensive snaps in this game. He did have 21 of the special team snaps, so that's 84% of the special team snaps. This is his 2nd longest game after playing much against Houston. Not a surprise with the importance of both games. Not a surprise with the importance of Highsmith and TJ and Golden in the mix as well. And given the amount of special teams he's playing, look, he's a 4th round linebacker pick, 3rd, probably really 4th on the depth chart behind Golden, although I'd like to see him work his way to 3rd. I'm not deeply surprised by these numbers, and neither should Steelers fans. But he is someone to watch, and I do think in the second half of the season, I'm calling it the second half because it's post the bye, I do think we'll see more from Nick Herbig than what we've necessarily seen to date. All right. Then we move on to Keanu Benton. So Benton continues to play a really important role with Cam Heyward being out. He played almost 57% of the defensive snaps with 47%. That was actually for, whether you care about percentages or not, and the fact that it was 33 snaps, it is the most he's played on the season. And in probably the most important game they've played. Now, everyone could say every game is important. You can say San Francisco was important, but given where the Steelers were sitting 2-2 against divisional rivals, sitting at 3-2, this was the game he needed to win. He did that. The Steelers did that. He contributed there as well. He's now played, I think it's 42. Let me bring it up. 38% of the defensive snaps on the season so far. Not bad for an interior defensive lineman taken in the 2nd round. Think about how much time Cam Heyward played in his rookie year. Wasn't a lot, pretty much sat out years. So this is pretty huge from Benton. He has 1 sack on the season, 1 quarterback knocked down, 2 pressures. He's missed 1 tackle of the 13 compared to the 13 that he's made. Continues to improve. He's someone that you see him on the field, that you see the contribution, effort, the impact of Benton, not just in stats, not just in snaps. Obviously in the snaps he's playing, but you see it around the football, shutting things down, all those good things. So excited for Benton to continue to develop. I think year 2 is going to be awesome from Benton, and a lot for the Steelers fans to look forward to. All right, and then we finally move to Calvin Austin. Now, Calvin Austin, look, I think it was a tough game for him, obviously, with the concussion. He only had one target, which he didn't catch. He played one special team snap, so not really a hell of a lot to talk about there from Calvin Austin, except for the fact I do think he's had a pretty decent start to the season with 143 yards off 12 receptions. So he's just below 12 yards at 11.9. He has his first TD on the season, so he doesn't have that hanging over his head. His catch percentage is 54.5%, but he is catching balls in the middle and deeper into the field. I'd love to see him use more in the rush game. He's only been used twice and got 3 yards. So that's kind of something that I think we can look at, interestingly, how the Steelers try and work him in. I mean, I continue to think back to the picture we saw on the season that had Darnell on one part and Calvin Austin next to him. And it's like the mismatches you can have with the power and the height and the size of Darnell, and then the speed and the small, low center of gravity twitchiness of Calvin Austin. Like, when those two are on the field together, this team should be unstoppable in terms of at least bamboozling the other team's schematics and making it harder for the other team. But we haven't seen that. Obviously, that goes back to the Matt Canada stuff. He got told to get fired at the Penguins game. But yeah, obviously that comes into play. But hopefully, I'd love to see a bit more from Austin in the second half of the season. Can he get that catch percentage more to 60 to 65? I'd love him to see him finish the season with 500 yards. That'd be really cool for him as the Steelers' 4th wide receiver, even though it's probably more than even what Allen Robinson's on target for at the moment with the Steelers offense. But he's 4th in terms of that experience and where he can contribute directly this year. But again, next year will be a big year for him. But let's see how he goes in the second half. So with that is going to wrap up this week's Steelers Touchdown Under Rookie Report. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll look at some of this and give you a reminder next week when we do the Rams rookies as well. I've trawled through a lot of the press interviews in the last 24 hours around offensive coordinators, all these sorts of things. I'm not impressed with Matt Canada. I don't think they're going to make the change. I do think by 2 or 3 games in after the bye, he will be completely lame duck. It will be all Mike Sullivan, or Sully as Ben calls him. It'll be all Sullivan. It'll be all Glenn Thomas. It'll be Kenny Pickett deciding what he wants to do. And good on Pickett. I mean, beautiful touchdown, game-winning touchdown to Pickens. Pickens now has 409 yards on the season. And just because I love the stat, and he was a rookie last year, that is 25th in the league for all-purpose yards from the line of scrimmage. Sorry, not all-purpose yards from the line of scrimmage. So rushing or receiving, basically. But with that, hope you like the show. As I said, if you do like the show, hit the like button. If you're not a sub to us, hit that sub button. It does help us out. We are on a race. We do want to hit 1,000 by the end of the season. That's our goal. We do that. The sooner we do that, basically, we can start running our competitions. We can't run them until we're monetized. That's 1,000 subs. So yeah, hit that sub button. Tell a friend about us. That'd be great. But as always, go Steelers.